What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Double Dribble. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about, in my opinion, the biggest steal potential player in the second round of this year's 2022 NBA Draft. And that player that we're going to be talking about today is Roddy. He is one of the most intriguing players in this year's draft, one of the most interesting players in this year's draft, and kind of one of the players that might have the most questions around him, and not because of questions of if he can play or not, but questions because there's not really many comparable players to him in the NBA. There's not many players that play like him, have body style like him, but the closest player to him and his play style and his body style is Draymond Green. And I think that is a pretty good comparison, except for the fact that Roddy is a much better offensive player than Draymond Green is. However, we'll get into that in a little bit. There's a little background on Roddy. So he is a 6'6" power forward out of Colorado State. He's 252 pounds. This past season, he averaged 19.2 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, and 2.9 assists. He shot 57% from the field and 43.8% from the three-point line. He is really an interesting player, like I said, and he had a really good past season at Colorado State. He is currently projected to be kind of a late second round pick in this year's draft. One of the mock drafts that I'd like to look at here has him going at the 57th pick, so one of the last picks in the draft to the Blazers. And I think that he's a better player than that. I think that if you could pick him at the 57th pick in this year's draft, that I would do it in a heartbeat, or would think I'm getting an absolute steal. I think that he has fallen that low in this year's draft for the simple fact that there's not many players, like I said, to compare him to. So they don't know exactly what he can be at the NBA level, or who to have him try be like or try play like. And that might be one of the reasons why he is, has fallen that low. To go along with that, a lot of that has to do with his lack of size or really kind of elite athletic ability. At 6'6", you do see him, putting some powerful dunks down and things like that. But he kind of plays like a big guy, and he's only 6'6", so he's not necessarily an elite athlete or has elite size. But really, like I said, he's kind of like a Draymond Green in the fact that I think that he can be one of those players that is more of a playmaker around a couple good guards that can really shoot the ball, like Draymond Green is with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole. One of those players that can playmake, can get the ball to the offensive guards in the right position, at the right time. But the other kind of questions that you have with that is that Roddy is a much better offensive player than Draymond Green is in terms of scoring the ball and shooting the ball. He shot 43.8% from three this past season. That ranked him 41st nationally, in the three-point shooting category, as a power forward. Along with that, he was even more efficient at the rim, which allowed him to rank in the top 30 in the country in effective field goal percentage. So was extremely efficient at scoring his 19 points per game. He did it at the rim. He did it at the three-point line. Kind of step backs off the dribble. Really, he checks all the boxes offensively in terms of being a skilled player and someone that can stretch the floor. Can play multiple positions, and but really just the concerns with the size and how he'll be able to, just how he'll play at the NBA level is why he has fallen so low. But I think that he's a great offensive player, has a ton of skill offensively, and can play kind of similar to that Draymond role, but have more of a scoring role or opportunity to score, unlike Draymond, where if he has anyone within 20 feet of him, he still won't shoot the ball. So there's just a lot of kind of questions of what he will play like at the NBA level on the offensive side of the ball. But there's no doubt that he has a ton of skill and can really just flat out play offensively. Now looking at defensively, a lot of it has to come with who he'll guard, how he will guard. At his size, at only 6'6", and not extremely athletic or extremely gifted in terms of blocking shots or anything like that. But he's actually surprisingly a pretty good shot blocker. At his size, he was 225th nationally in the block rate. But he's similar to Draymond in terms of that he's undersized, but he has near a 7-foot wingspan. So at only 6'6", he has almost a 7-foot wingspan. But he's got a ton of muscle to him. He's extremely girthy, but he can withstand a lot of pounding in the paint and other but he's strong enough to withstand all that. But he's also quick enough to defend smaller players on the perimeter. So I think that defensively he could be very similar to someone like Draymond Green, who gives up a ton of size, but just plays with such high passion, heart, and want to guard, I guess, that it allows him to be a good defender at the NBA level at that size. So really, there's just a ton of questions around him on the defense side of the ball, but I think that if you just kind of watch him play, he plays with passion, plays hard. And I think that he will be able to use his kind of strength and his weight, I guess, to bang with bigger players. But then also he's got good footwork and good lateral quickness to stay with smaller guards. Or if he gets switched on players, that he's not going to just get ran off the floor, or you just get picked on in the pick and roll or anything like that. So there's a lot of questions about him, but I think that he will be able to play just fine at the defensive side of the ball, at the NBA level. So I think that he could be a steal, in this year's draft. So in conclusion, David Roddy is one of the most intriguing, interesting prospects in the draft. Like I said, I don't think he's worthy of being the 57th pick in this year's draft. I think that there's just so many questions because there's no one to really compare him to, that teams don't know what to do with him, how they will necessarily play or work him into their system. But I think that if whatever team drafts him, if they have a plan for him, a plan that allows him to kind of be him, but also kind of play like that Draymond role, but also being able to score better, I think that he could be a huge steal of this draft. A player that has a ton of upside, and I think that a worst case scenario, he does a lot of things at a high level. He's a good teammate. He plays really hard, and he helps some team, in some facet of the game, which still can be hard to find as a player that's, late in the second round. But I think that we're also looking at a player that if he's utilized right and utilized for his versatility, and he's put in the right positions, that he could, be a long-term starter at the NBA level and have an extreme impact on a playoff team, very similar to Draymond Green. So, leave all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Where do you think he should be drafted? Do you think he'll be a steal this year, at the 57th pick or middle second round, late second round? Leave that all down below. As always, make sure to hit the like button on this video, share the video with your friends, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Thank you.